San Diego Comic-Con 2015, brought to you by Netmarble. I'm Lorraine Sink, host and writer of Marvel's The Watcher, and we're here with Nicole Perlman. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I have been looking forward to talking to you for some time. Of course, you guys probably know her work from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and now you're going to be working on
Captain Marvel.
Marvel's Captain Marvel. I'm so excited. Have you guys started writing it all yet?
We're more in the brainstorming phase right now, because we have to just see how it will figure in with all the other movies that are coming down the pike between now and 2018.
Right, so you have a few years of film to look forward to, and a mentor, I'm sure.
That's right. Lots to see, to understand what's going to be happening in that world by the time our movie comes out.
So you worked on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a really interesting story how Guardians even came into being. Could you tell people at home a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So I was in a writing program that Marvel had for a little while, where they took several writers who had sold a lot of screenplays but hadn't had anything produced yet, and they gave us each an office, and they gave us a list of some of their properties that were lesser known properties, and said, choose one of these and you'll be developing it for a couple of years by yourself. And so we said, okay, and everybody chose one, and the one that I chose was Guardians, which I got a lot of funny looks about because it was the least well-known property on the list.
So what made you want that particular team of Guardians as opposed to like the original Guardians from 69?
It's funny, I originally was drawn to the first group of Guardians. I thought there was something really cool about Ancestro and the whole idea of being temporally dislocated, but I loved the 2008 Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning reboot of the series, and it just had so much color and sarcasm, and that was something that the producers were very excited about as well. So, tried a lot of different versions of which Guardians to include in the story, but the ones that ended up in the movie are the ones that we just decided fulfilled the, all the best parts of that team. Were encapsulated by those guys. So Rocket Raccoon was a late addition, and I'm really glad we put him in. He was very much on the fence for a while. I loved him and Kevin loved him. There was some back and forth, but he made it in, thank goodness.
Oh yeah, and I mean he's such a fan favorite now character because of that. So when you were researching, what you made a character like, oh, this is like a really viable character for a film script?
In terms of which characters from the original
film,
Well, I had to read all of the comics.
Right.
I had to read all the cosmic characters and just some of them we didn't own. Some of them Marvel didn't still have at the moment because they belonged to Fox or some of the other Marvel movies that are being made by other studios. So I had to find out which ones were even available. And then I looked for ones that had a lot of heart or had some really emotional backstories. With Quill, we changed his backstory fairly significantly because we didn't want him to start out being too noble at the beginning and be doing this for noble reasons. We wanted him to be a bit of a scoundrel. So I think that the characters that we chose were ones that had either deep relationships with each other already, like Rocket and Groot, or had a tragic backstory like Drax, and Gamora, who has a fascinating connection with Thanos. These were all things that drew me to those characters.
And did you have any history with comic books before you started the Marvel program, or was this like really delving into a big new world?
Well, I was really into graphic novels before Marvel, and then, I started working for Marvel in 2009. So I thought I knew what I was getting myself into. I had read trade paperbacks, and I had read limited runs, but I hadn't really delved into the comics world. Then it's kind of blown my mind, and so I had no idea, and as soon as I got into it I realized I have to do a lot of research to know what I'm talking about, and the more I read the more interested I got, and now I am hooked.
And what has it been like transferring over, because you've been working on a Gamora series?
Yes.
What has that been like transferring down? Because it must be, you're writing such a huge, expansive world in a film script, and then to be taking it basically to a storyboard, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't see it as a step down to do the Gamora series, which I'm working on now. It got delayed, but now I'm finally working on it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a totally different skill set, and a really, really interesting way to tell stories, because it's, it is a storyboard pretty much, and so that has been how static it is, and how much information you can put into every frame, and just trying to find the way to balance that with the pacing. That has been the most challenging thing. It's just figuring out the pacing of the comic. Having something be static where you can't have a phone ring and have somebody pick up the way you would in a screenplay. be clever about the way in which you play those out. So it's been quite a learning curve, but fortunately I have a lot of friends who do this and they've been helping me, thank God. So it's been good.
And how do you feel that Gamora has changed? Do you feel like she's different from the film to the page?
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons I wanted to do the comic was because I felt like Gamora, who she was in the comics versus who she was in the film, there was a little bit of an unexplained gap there, you know, in terms of her being the most deadly woman in the universe versus the kind of ethical engine and heart and like the core moral person of the group in the film. And so I wanted to have a story arc that would explain what happened, what was the turning point in her life that led her down the path to rejecting Thanos and joining up with the Guardians. So my comic arc actually takes place before she joins the Guardians.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, you have a bunch of panels you're doing
Yes.
while you're here. For folks who are going to be here today and throughout the week, what panels can people find you at?
I'm going to be on Hugh Howey's panel about adapting novels to comics and film, because I'm adapting one of his books, the Wool series. And I'm going to be on the Nerdist Science panel, that's
cool.
Tomorrow. And then tonight I'm going to be on the Science of Science Fiction, which I've done every year for a few years now.
Oh, wow.
So it should be great.
That's awesome. Where can fans find you online?
Oh, I have a very outdated website. But you can follow me on, I'm Uncanny Girl on Twitter.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, you guys, stick around. We're going to be back with even more folks from San Diego Comic-Con here talking live. And of course, you can send us your questions, #MarvelSDCC, and we'll answer them here on the live on the show. And of course, we're still brought to you by Marvel Future Fight from Netmarble. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. It was really fun.
And I can't wait to read Gamora. It's going to be so great.
Hey everybody.